Hey, I'm Louie from Spore, and today I'm going to show you how to set up your fruiting block kit, as well as share some tips and tricks for you to get the most out of your block. So you just got your fruiting block in the mail and you're thinking, hey Louie, what gives? I wanted mushrooms and all you sent me was a block of dirt. Well, don't throw it out. I have good news. The mushroom potential is inside. You just need to fruit them. There are two primary ways to fruit from a block, and the best choice for you is going to have a lot to do with the species of mushroom you're working with. The first method, side fruiting, works best for mushrooms that like to make tight clusters and prefer small openings. These are species like oyster mushrooms, lion's mane, and chestnut. The term side fruiting doesn't necessarily refer to the direction of growth, but to the cuts made on the side of the bag where the mushrooms grow from. The second method, top fruiting, works best for mushrooms that like a humid, CO2-rich environment and a broad, flat surface to fruit from. These are species like king trumpet, black king, nameko, pioppino, and reishi. It's called top fruiting because the mushrooms grow from the substrate surface at the top of the block. If you're growing shiitake, those blocks require a little more specialized care, so we'll cover them separately later on. Before starting, you're going to need a sharp, clean tool to cut with, some tape, and a childlike sense of wonder. If you plan on using them, rubber bands. It's also important to keep the block hydrated after cutting, which you can do with an all-purpose spray bottle. Just make sure it's clean before you use it. If you don't have a fruiting space set aside, you should do that before opening your block. We have more information on what a good fruiting environment looks like at the end of the video, so if you need to, skip ahead, we'll be here. While working with any of our kits, you're going to notice the top of the bag is taped down for easy handling. Let's undo that first. These are oyster mushrooms, which means they'll work best with the side fruiting method. To side fruit, take the top flap and fold it tightly over the block, with the filter patch facing up. Press down on the bag and try to remove any excess air if you can. This will reduce your chances of side pinning. Once you've pressed the air out, you can either tape the flap down or just flip the block like this so the flap stays in place. How you orient your block is going to depend on your growing space and personal preference. We usually face the cut side up because it takes up less space and won't fall over from weight as the mushrooms grow. You can also use this time to apply rubber bands to your block for additional protection against side pinning. This is optional. Just be sure to leave some room between the bands so you can still cut your bag. Take your cutting tool and slice an X into the bag, starting about an inch or two away from each corner. Don't worry if you end up cutting into the block. It's important to make a clean cut so the mushrooms don't get caught on anything as they grow. And that's it. Your block's now ready to go. Place it in a good fruiting environment and make sure to spray 2 to 4 times per day, depending on how much humidity it's getting. You should start to see pins form around the cut area in anywhere from a couple days to a couple weeks depending on species. Now let's try the top fruiting method, which is perfect for these pioppino mushrooms. Before starting this method, we recommend wrapping a rubber band or two around the top of the block, right underneath the substrate surface. This will help prevent side pinning, which is more common when fruiting from the top. Now, top fruiting happens in 2 different stages. For the first stage, we'll initiate fruiting by cutting a small slit below the seam. This will kickstart growth by bringing additional oxygen into the bag. A quick side note, if you're growing reishi, it's best to wait to cut the bag until the antlers are a few inches tall, which can take a couple months. With reishi, you don't really need to open the bag at all. However, some growers do to give the mushrooms a more fanned out appearance, which is closer to what they look like out in the wild. For our pioppinos, we've cut the bag. Now we're going to let it sit until pins develop, which can take a week or 2. Check your blocks regularly. You've got some wiggle room, but once the pins are about an inch in height, you're ready for the next step. This block is ready for the second stage. Using your cutting tool, cut off the top of the bag at least 4 inches above the substrate. This will leave a collar around your mushrooms that will help retain moisture and focus growth. Because so much surface area is exposed, keeping the substrate from drying out is one of the biggest challenges with top fruiting. Make sure to spray often, or better yet, keep your block in a controlled environment. With that being said, your block's all ready to go. Last but not least, let's talk about shiitake, a special mushroom with its own special process grown by a special person. This is a ready-to-fruit shiitake block. You'll know your block is ready when it's turned almost entirely brown. Shiitake blocks exhibit a phenomenon known as popcorning, which is a cool brain-like texture to the block. Don't mistake this for early pinning. However, if you do see pins like this, you can go ahead and fruit regardless of color. To initiate fruiting, start by cold shocking the block. An easy way to do this is by putting it in the fridge for about 24 to 48 hours. This isn't just a strategy for shiitake either. Some cold weather species can benefit from a cold shock if things have stalled. Once you've waited the appropriate amount of time, take the block out. Now it's time to give it a nice firm slap. It's not just a good way to let the mushrooms know who's boss. Physical stimulation can help encourage growth in shiitake. Just don't be too rough and risk breaking your block. At this point, you'll want to take your cutting tool and remove the bag completely. Shiitakes in particular need high humidity for pinning. To really ensure your block is hydrated, you can soak it by submerging it in cold water for 4 to 12 hours. If you're placing your block in an area with humidity control, you can skip this step. Just be sure to keep humidity levels around 90% until pins form. In fact, because of the large moisture demand and added exposure, shiitake blocks especially really should be grown in a controlled environment. Which leads us to our last area of discussion. Where should you place your fruiting block? Well, ideally you want a humid, temperate area with regular airflow and indirect light. For example, a kitchen counter would be a great place to fruit most blocks. For additional control and portability, growing chambers like a monotub or a Martha tent can really elevate your grow and are the key to success with certain species. We offer a step-by-step guide on our website for how to build both of these, which we'll leave a link to down below. For a more convenient approach, our Boomer Bin monotub and Boom Room 2 Martha tent were specially designed by us and can save you a lot of time and effort. If you plan on growing multiple blocks regularly, you should also check out our Bloxbox subscription. We'll leave the link for all of that below as well. Keep in mind that every species is different and what works best varies between them. Before you start growing, we highly recommend checking out our fruiting block guide, which covers each species in more detail, as well as our fruiting block FAQ, which covers additional information we weren't able to get into this video. All of that you can access by using this QR code or finding the link down below. Thanks for watching another one, folks. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you found this information useful, please hit that like button. Subscribe and more videos like this will come right to you. I'll see you next time.